Question asks us to retrieve product ID, product name, unit price, and category. All right, what's the criteria? That have a price higher than the average price of products within their respective categories. I think this is very simple. Let's do it the old-fashioned way. And then we're going to do it using a CTE. And I'll explain what that is and how it works. I'm just going to copy this to save time. Select. So clean code. Ideally, each column is a new row. As you see, we only have one table, products. All right. And we have this criteria. Price higher than the average price. I'm going to put that here. Of products within their respective categories. All right, so we need the average price per category, and we need to only select products where the unit price is higher than that average price. Sounds simple to me. So this is a logical criteria. We're going to use a where clause. Where unit price higher than the average price, right? So we need a subquery here. Okay, so we're gonna get that average price per category. Select average unit price from products and group by. Need to group by category. Higher than the average. Hopefully I understood this correctly. ID, name, price, category, where price higher than the average price of products within their respective categories. All right. Now, okay, let's run this. I got something wrong. Empty set. Let's see. No, that's the zinger here. So I'm getting the average prices here. So that's per category. This is not going to be one singular value. And I'm comparing the unit price of a random category to the average unit price of God knows which category. So I missed the tricky part here, which is to ensure that I'm going to put products P1 here, products P2 here, where P1.category equals P2.category. Okay. Where limit says that sounds right. It does. It does. It does. It does. Yes, that's because I forgot the where initially, and then I just added it later. Fairly simple. The where was the tricky part here, because if we're comparing the unit price of a product and we want it to be greater than the average price from their respective category, we need this where clause to ensure we're comparing it to the average price of that same category, not the average price of a product in another category. So I forgot to put this criteria, and then I ended up adding it later. Right. So that was the only new thing when it comes to subqueries here. But I wanted to show you how to do this using CTEs. CTEs stand for, so that's an abbreviation, common table expressions or temporary tables. You're going to be using that a lot in intermediate and advanced practice problems. In mock interviews, in real interviews, to impress your interviewers, they're really handy. They're much better than subqueries. You can use them whenever you need a subquery, but they're better because a subquery runs for every row in the, let's say, higher level query that contains the subquery, whereas the CTE runs only once. It's stored in working memory, and you can access it anytime. So let's solve this using a CTE. So always opt for that over subqueries. All right. So sometimes it's easier to start with the final query, and then you'll figure out, oh, I need a subquery or a CTE from here. So I'm starting out the same way I did, but I'm not going to use a subquery. That's the difference. Okay. All right. From products. Okay. And then we need the where clause, where unit price greater than average per category. Okay, we don't yet have this. We're gonna come up with it in a CTE. So let's do that. Because we need this to exist at this point, we will write the CTE above this main query. Here's the syntax for the CTE. You start with the keyword with, then the name of the CTE. You just name the table. We can name it something like average price per category. You can name it whatever you want to. And then you say as, and you need parentheses. And here you just write your regular select query. So CTs, temporary tables, specialized queries. We'll talk more on them. So what all this query needs to do is get us this output, average price per category. Should have put price to make it more intuitive. Okay, so we're going to do something very similar to what we did in that subquery. So we're selecting the average unit price from products, and we're grouping by category. All right. Now to access this here, we need to join this table to the CTE, because what CTE is, it's just another table that's not permanently stored in the database. It's just temporarily stored in the working memory so you can use it. So we're saying from products, we're gonna add a join here, join. This is the table name, the CTE name. Okay, how do we join these, right? How do we join these? What do they have in common? And of course, I should have put category here. because we're grouping by it. We're going to join them by category. So instead of having that additional where logical clause, we can just join them on the category on. So I'm going to add, I can use using, but I know most people are used to on. So I'm going to put on p dot category equals a dot category. All right. This looks okay. This is a. I'm just going to add. Whenever you're using aliases, it's a safe bet to add them to all columns. It's not needed usually unless you're using a column that appears in both tables, like here, category, product. All right. So now we have this. We have a very simple query that fetches the product ID, product name, unit price, category from that one products table. Let's ignore this for now. And it ensures that the unit price is greater than the average price per category. How? Because we calculated this here in the CTE. So we have that available as a table on its own. And we are just also making sure that the category coming from the CTE is the same category that's coming from the products, so that we can compare the product price to the average price per category in the same category. So let's run this, ensure everything else is commented out. A dot average price per category. Okay, this is good. You know what happened? Unknown column. This is an unknown column because I didn't put an alias here. I didn't name this average price per category. Run again. All right. It's working the same way. This is not the official solution with the subquery. This is the solution with the CTE. So when you have a subquery and you're doing your where and you're doing the subquery here, the subquery is very expensive resource-wise. For every row it runs, whereas this runs once. You have this stored in working memory and you use it whenever you want in the same session. When dealing with CTEs, I want to, and you have an editor like this, I want to encourage you to test your intermediate steps. So to see that it's working. So I've commented out the final query. So this is good to do in interviews, in practice, when you have the opportunity to. So I'm just going to select everything from this CTE to make sure it runs, to make sure the output is good. We know it is because we've had the final run, but it's good to do that before. I didn't put from. All right. So to just have a look at your output. We need category and we need average price per category. Seems fine, right? Seems like it's working, right? We have group by category. That's why every category appears once. So I do highly encourage you to do this for every CTE before using it. Otherwise, you end up writing 50 lines of code, getting syntax error, and then debugging can take a while.